The Fourth Way by P.D. Ouspensky. Chapter 14. Question. I have observed in myself a constant desire to be comfortable. Is it general for everybody to feel this? Answer. This is one of the most important features of our life. To this desire, we sacrifice everything. We are ready to give up everything to go by the line of least resistance. Sometimes this desire becomes so strong that one can be comfortable and nothing else. Even if something is not comfortable, one tries to arrange it so that it should be comfortable. Question. Is there any way of getting rid of it? Answer. What to do is a different question. We must come to it from another side. This desire is a very big thing, and every effort against it is important. So every effort must be discussed specifically, not all efforts together. Sleep is the most comfortable thing. Trying to awake is very uncomfortable. Later, when we partly awaken, we will see how uncomfortable it is to sleep when anything may happen at any moment, but it is necessary to come to that state. Question. How can one counteract laziness? Answer. By effort. How otherwise? It is difficult to speak in general because there are so many forms of laziness, so many different escapes. We must speak about concrete cases, so only you yourself can answer. Find in yourself different kinds of laziness, and then you will see that it is not always the same. In some cases, it manifests worse. In some cases, less strongly. You need a large quantity of observations. Nobody from outside can help you. Question. Is it any good just wanting? No. Answer. No. That is not sufficient. Suppose one is lazy in a particular thing, but not always equally lazy. Sometimes more, sometimes less. This is material for observation. Find what makes you more lazy or less lazy. Then you will find some causes and will know whether to observe further. In many things in us, we must find what makes a difference, because nothing in us remains the same for long. Even permanent features manifest themselves differently. One day in one way, another day in another way. It's necessary to find out what causes it. Question. Is there a means of telling the difference between a genuine need for rest and laziness? Answer. As in many things, there are cases when you can say definitely, and you must take only these cases and do not think about doubtful ones. If you start with cases where you do not know, you can do nothing. If you start with cases where you do not know, you can do nothing. In this system, you must start with things about which you have no doubt. Question. If you are trying to remember yourself and you get some kind of result, can you be sure that it is not imagination? Answer. Again, the same answer applies. There will be moments about you which you have no doubt, and there will be moments about which you will know that they are imagination. You cannot be sure about every moment, but about some moments you will be sure. Question. Can an outside circumstance suddenly wake you up? Answer. Yes. But the next moment another outside circumstance comes and makes you fall asleep again. So there is no profit in it. And the more one kind of circumstance awakens you, the more easily others make you fall asleep. Only this awakening is sure, which comes from yourself. Question. Would a man who is beginning to awake develop a sense of duality? Answer. Is that an observation or not? If it is an observation, it is one thing. But if it's just a philosophy, it's quite useless. It will not help you if you decide in one way and things happen in another way. You must deal with today and with a possible tomorrow. Question. I have found that I can have a negative emotion and observe it at the same time? Answer: yes, certainly. You can have violent negative emotions and observe them. Very often negative emotions wake us up to a certain extent, so we can observe them. This is quite right, but it does not diminish them. They become even better if you do this, and even more pleasing as a form of sleep. Observation is not the way to destroy negative emotions. If you want to destroy them, there are many methods, but observation is only for study. Question: is there any way of dealing with rather vague, dull, negative states? Answer: yes, many ways. Sometimes you can struggle with it, but supposing even that your state is so dull that you can do nothing at a given moment, if you make efforts before it comes, while in a better state, that will help. You have to do only what is absolutely necessary at such a time, but you must not identify with your state, and must only remember that it will pass. Must not believe that it is permanent. Emotionally, we always believe in things. The emotional center does not know tomorrow. For everything it is present, everything is permanent. You must not identify with this feeling. You must know that it will change. Question: everything that interested me in the work, I very soon began to feel as a frightful grind. How am I to avoid this trap? Answer: well, it is a beautiful state for self-remembering. You can use it. The more negative you are, the better you can remember yourself. If you realize that you can get out. The more negative you are, the better you can remember yourself. If you realize that you can get out. It must remind you, serve as an alarm. Otherwise, you will remain in a negative state all the time. Question: it seems that only when I have observed some stupidity in myself am I able to make stronger efforts. Answer: sometimes it's very useful to see one's stupidity. If one could really see oneself, one would not be able to forget it, but this is connected with consciousness. Question: I've always been rather adaptable, and that worries me. If I try to make an effort, it is very unpleasant to start with, but later it is no longer an effort. Answer: the moment it becomes easy, it is a warning. It means that next time the effort will be more difficult. Question: I find I can sometimes get out of a negative emotion by allowing myself to get identified with something pleasant. Answer: you use the word identified in a wrong sense. You cannot say, I allow myself to get identified. You can only say, I allow myself to get interested in something. Yes, it may work for some time, but if you become identified, it will be just the same from a practical point of view. Only in pleasant things you can be interested without being identified. In an unpleasant thing, you cannot be interested without being identified. Question: I find enjoyment a great difficulty. I enjoy almost everything, and this seems to send me to sleep. Answer: try to remember yourself. Then enjoyment will be bigger, fuller, and you will profit from it. But if it makes you fall asleep, you must try to avoid it. That's all. Every kind of emotional state can be used for self-remembering. But before you can do that, it is necessary to create a capacity for it. And the capacity can be created only by constant, regular effort. If you just think about it once a week, nothing will come of it. Question: I feel my chief obstacle is imagination, chiefly about myself. Is there any special work against this? Answer: imagination may be very different. If There are special ways it is only possible to arrive at them through detailed study. If you ask me in general, I can only answer self-remembering. If you mean daydreams, they are only half of your imaginings, and the most innocent half. Certainly they mean loss of time, but we waste time in so many ways that a little more or less does not really make a difference. It is much more dangerous if you imagine certain qualities in yourself, in other people, in humanity, or in nature, and then come to believe in these imaginary ideas and put your faith in them. We are surrounded by these imaginary qualities, and it is with these that we must struggle. Question. In trying to resist imagination, should one find the cause of it? Answer. No. Stop at once. There are always causes. Replace it by something else, some intentional thinking. Question. Why is it of no value to observe and study imagination as a means to self-knowledge? Answer. You will very soon see that it does not give you anything. Imagination always turns in the same circle. It is an uncontrolled mind activity, and by imagination we create many false values, keep to them, and use them in our thinking. This is why imagination is dangerous. We do not verify things. We imagine things either because we like them, or sometimes because we dislike them and are afraid of them. We live in an imaginary world. Question. By escaping from reality? Answer. Not consciously escaping, but it happens like that. It's partly due to mental laziness, for instance. It is easier to imagine a thing than to study it. Question. Wouldn't knowing that be an easy way of stopping it? Answer. No, you cannot know it, and it will still go on. A special effort is necessary to stop it. We are so mechanical that we can know and still do the same thing. Question. I feel I cannot wait any longer to try and find a path out of the morass in which I now find myself. The more I see my mechanicalness, the more I see the urgency of so doing. Answer. You must realize that a long time is necessary. Years and years have passed in ordinary life. When you hear about mechanicalness and are just beginning to struggle with it, you want results at once. It is necessary for us to get accustomed to these ideas. There are no secrets or special methods to make it quicker. Question. I find it difficult to realize that imagination enters into all our emotions. Answer. Every emotion is based on identification. Every emotion based on identification is imagination. Identification is a sign of imagination. When you find an emotion without identification, you will find an emotion without imagination. Question. Is thought the only way to test imagination? Answer. No, not thought, but attention, because imagination is one of the manifestations that go without attention. The moment you turn your attention to it, imagination stops. Question. Do you mean that one cannot observe imagination without stopping it? Answer. You cannot observe it for long. If you just notice it and turn away, it can go on. But if you keep attention on it, it stops. Attention is like a light, and imagination is like a chemical process that can only go on in the dark and stops with light. Question. Does it not mean that when you notice it, thought comes up? Answer. Thought brings attention. Attention is a different faculty, because even thought can go on without attention, but thought can work with attention, while imagination cannot. Some faculties can work only with attention, and some others can work without attention. Question. What is the difference between ordinary thought and imagination? Answer. Intentional or unintentional? Controllable or uncontrollable? Question. Imagination is one of the strongest things in man, yet it is the most useless. Why? Answer. It is a bad habit, a form of sleep, a weakness. It is easy. It does not need any effort. All the rest needs effort. Question. Is it possible to hope that we can get rid of imagination ultimately? Answer. We cannot speak about ultimately. It is too far. The first step is to know how much time is given to imagination, and the next step is to give it a little less.